sweetheart, and welcome to this episode of the Drink Less, Live Better podcast. This is the podcast that helps you to see that drinking less doesn't need to be stressful, lonely, or boring. I'm your host, Sarah Williamson, and I decided to have a year alcohol-free as a little life experiment and haven't looked back. I'm here to support you with your alcohol-free or drink less adventures through one-to-one coaching. Follow me on Instagram at Drink Less, Live Better. Find resources on my website, drinklesslivebetter.com, and buy my book, Drink Less, Live Better. It's available in all the places you might buy a book. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Let's get straight to it. I thought I'd feel different. Today, I want to talk about something that so many of us experience but rarely discuss. That moment when you achieve something you've been working towards, but the feelings don't quite match your expectations. You know that thought. I thought I'd feel different. Maybe you've reached a milestone in your alcohol-free journey, landed a promotion at work, got the house, lost the weight, or achieved a long-held goal, but the euphoria or satisfaction you expected just isn't there. Instead, you might feel, well, pretty much the same, or confused, or maybe even a bit empty. I had a qualification that I achieved last year after quite a lot of mental wrangling and a lot of effort. The day that I received my certificate, I filed it. I didn't celebrate at all. I didn't have any feelings of euphoria or relief that I expected. It was just a kind of nothing feeling. Anyway, a conversation I was having with a client yesterday. She is nearly 5 months alcohol-free now, and we were reflecting on who she was and how she was talking 6 months ago. She said being 5 months alcohol-free was a wild dream for her 6 months ago. If you'd have asked her how she expected to feel, she'd have said elated, delighted, amazing. And she doesn't. She just feels kind of fine. And she's confused by that. I want you to know that this experience is completely normal. Our brains have this fascinating way of building up expectations about how certain achievements will make us feel. We imagine this scenario where everything clicks into place and suddenly life feels transformed. There's rainbows and unicorns everywhere. But reality often has different plans, doesn't it? Let me explain. Our minds are constantly moving the goalposts. While we're working towards something, we're simultaneously adjusting to it. It's like slowly turning up the brightness on your phone. You hardly notice the change because your eyelids adjust as it happens. Your growth and progress are real, but they can feel subtle because you've been gradually adapting along the way. That's why I wasn't excited to achieve my achievement last year. I saw it coming from a long way out. Let's talk about changing our relationship with alcohol. You might expect to feel eternally joyful and brilliant after 30 days alcohol-free, but instead you might find yourself feeling, well, normal. And that's okay. In fact, it's actually a sign of real change. What once seemed impossible has now become your normal. And this is also interesting. Sometimes the absence of the feelings we expected can make us doubt our choices or our progress. We might think, if this was the right decision, why don't I feel more excited, happy, or fulfilled? But the truth is, feelings don't validate or invalidate your achievements. They're just weather patterns passing through the sky of your consciousness. They're just the same as thoughts. So what can we do when we find ourselves in this space? First, acknowledge the feeling, or perhaps the lack of feeling, without judgment. It's perfectly okay to not feel how you thought you were going to. Second, let's look for the subtle changes. Often, the real transformation isn't in dramatic feelings, but in small and quiet moments, like handling a stressful day without reaching for a drink, or noticing you're sleeping better. Third, can you actually appreciate the journey itself? Sometimes the most significant growth happens in the spaces between our expectations and our reality. Fourth, remember that meaningful change often feels ordinary because it's become integrated into who you are. That's actually a sign of authentic transformation. That's a really good thing. And finally, be patient. New feelings and realizations often emerge when we stop expecting them to appear in front of us. If you're in this space right now where reality and expectations aren't quite matching up, I want you to know that you haven't done anything wrong. You shouldn't stop doing what you've started doing. You haven't missed something or failed to appreciate your progress properly. You're simply experiencing a very human response to change. Sometimes the most profound changes in our lives don't come with fireworks or fanfare. They arrive quietly, settling into our lives unnoticed, subtle but transformative in their own way. If you're struggling with this disconnect between expectations and reality, especially in your journey with alcohol or other life changes, remember that you don't have to navigate it alone. My one-to-one coaching programs provide a space where we can explore these feelings together and find peace with where you are at the moment. Beautiful transformations can surprise us with their simplicity sometimes, the gradual calm to chaos. Would you do something for me today? Would you rate or review the podcast or drop me a DM or email with your feedback on it? Thank you for listening in today. Come back again next week. Check out the show notes for a link to a hidden podcast episode that will help you with your 5 p.m. cravings and details about my one-to-one life coaching and sober coaching programs. And P.S. I believe in you.